All right, we'll get the Parks Committee underway, and this is May 10th. And we'll note that Alder Campbell is present, Alder Eck is present, Alder Weary, and Alder Stoyer. We're going to excuse him today. He'll be excused. Okay. Can I get an approval of the agenda? And we do have one change. So.
Motion to approve, or do we need to make the change? Or?
Well, I'll just mention it right now. If we could move the very first item, number 1, Alder Galvin's running late, so he was asking that to be held to the very end, perhaps after the director's report.
So
Right?
E?
Is that,
Or it could be after the staff update on
After the
current
staff update.
2023 park seasonal staff.
Long as we
update.
Just
Make it.
E1?
Yeah,
Okay.
E1.
Okay.
Actually, no, it would be F1. It would be after F1.
I mean, E1 gets moved to
After.
F.
E1 gets moved to after F1.
Motion to approve as amended.
all right.
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck, second by Alder Campbell to approve the amended agenda. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Number 2. Let's see here, actually, back up to approval of the minutes, sorry.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck, second by Alder Campbell to approve the minutes. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Regular business. Everything we do tonight reports to council next week, Tuesday. For everybody in the audience, next week, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, right next door. Number 1, we're holding on. Number 2, consideration with possible action on accepting the donation of a used Sea Dragon ride from the Friends of Bay Beach for the city to install at Bay Beach Amusement Park.
Yay.
Director.
Yeah, at our last park committee, as you know, we made the recommendation to donate the Sea Dragon ride to the Friends of Bay Beach because it was not functional and it wasn't cost effective to try to repair it. So that did pass and was approved. In the meantime, the Friends of Bay Beach came across another used Sea Dragon ride that was identical to the one that we had. So not only is it the exact same model, but it's the same make, model, and year. So it was manufactured in 1991, the exact same as ours was. And the ride was in Louisiana. And so a few weeks ago, we actually sent our mechanics out there to inspect the ride to see, is it a decent ride? And what came out of that is our mechanics thought it was in very good shape considering its age. It is still an old ride, but it works. It was still in use, so the company that had it was traveling it around. It is a traveling model that's made to go up and down fairly quickly. And so they were still using it, and so it's a functional ride. So we recommended to the Friends of Bay Beach that if they're interested in purchasing it, we definitely would be interested in accepting it as a staff level. After the last meeting that we had, the Friends of Bay Beach negotiated the terms of the purchase. And they actually already purchased the ride and delivered it to Bay Beach Amusement Park. So it's sitting there right now as we speak. And what we have to do, though, is officially accept a donation of this magnitude from the Friends of Bay Beach. Now, we don't have to accept it. If we don't, then they'll just put it on the market and sell it and hopefully make the same amount that they purchased it for. So that's the repercussions by not accepting the donation. But I would highly recommend we do approve to accept the donation. The only money that the city would have to come up with or Bay Beach would have to come up with is really just staffing. So it's a functional ride that's in good condition, so we just have to take our old ride down, get it out of there, and then drive the new trailers in and set it up. So most of the expense is going to be just the time for our mechanics to do that work, and that's something we can do in-house. In fact, our mechanics are already in the process of disassembling the old ride. And we started doing that in preparation to donate it to the Friends. Now what the intention is with the old ride, the Friends of Bay Beach have agreed not to sell it. So they will not accept the donation of the old ride. And we will now use the old ride for spare parts since it's the same make, model, and ride. So once we get it out of there, we'll salvage whatever parts we need, and whatever is left, we might just sell for scrap metal. I guess we don't know at this point what we're going to do with the rest of it. a lot of the cosmetic items on the last ride, so it appeared to be a fairly new ride when it was there, but that's because we spent some time on that ride just with the cosmetics. So we repainted the boat and we did some additional work to it. We're able to salvage those panels from our old ride and just put those on the new boat because they're the same panels. So I think it'll be pretty seamless from the aesthetic standpoint as far as what the new ride looks like versus the old ride. The only difference right now is our ride, I believe, is blue, because we painted it blue. The ride that we received is white. So other than that, it's going to look fairly similar.
Alderette?
Is there any reason why we would ever not accept a donation?
Yeah, obviously, there's always reasons theoretically of why we wouldn't accept a donation. Sometimes the donations just aren't good fit for the city or the Parks Department. In this case, we worked with the Friends of Bay Beach. We researched it in advance. There's really no reason that I can see that we would not accept the donation because it is a working ride and there's very little money that we're going to have to invest in it to get it up and running. I guess the only downfall to this ride is it is an old ride. Again, we don't know how long this new ride's going to last. Maybe it just gets us by for a few years, just till we can afford to purchase a newer one. Or maybe it's there 20 years. I guess it's hard to say. I mean, we still have the same things to contend with in the fact that it's going to be hard to find used parts or new parts if this ride needs new parts. But the advantage is we have a whole nother ride to pull from.
At the old park.
Yeah.
And when can it be up and running?
So we're hoping by midsummer.
Midsummer.
I don't have a specific date until we start setting it up and we see, if there's small things we need to repair or fix. We'll find out as we start assembling it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Alder Campbell?
So literally, I mean, it should go quite fast because you won't have to do any excavating or anything. I mean, like the foundation or whatever, the anchors and everything. It sounds like it's exactly the same. You explain year, model, everything. I mean,
Yeah, it's just setup time, so it could go fairly quick. We do have to do a little bit of connecting the electrical to it, so we do have to get our city electricians out there to assist with assembling it. But theoretically, it should go pretty smooth. I know the state still has to inspect it after we install it, so there's a little process, but it won't take a great deal of time.
I think that's great. I think it makes a lot of sense with having two to make one out of it. Even whatever parts you need, you can literally, there won't make no downtime, which is loss of revenue. And, I mean, literally, it sounds like in a day or two, you literally have the parts almost on hand to make it work. So,
Yeah, I mean, the parts would be on hand if it goes down, like you said.
even
yeah.
better if we would have got rid of it already. So I think I'd like to make a motion that we accept the new Sea Dragon 2 ride for Bay Beach. And it only makes sense. And
Okay.
try to get it up and running.
We have a motion by Alder Campbell to accept the donation of the Sea Dragon ride. Is there a second?
Before we second it, I just want to say thank you to the Friends of Bay Beach. They're not here, but thank you if you're watching. And I second.
All right. We have a motion and a second, and I concur. We're very fortunate to have the Friends group. Very thankful for that. I hope they understand that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Those in favor?
I
Opposed? That motion carries. Number 3, consideration with possible action on the approval of the design, construction, and dedication agreement with the Friends of Bay Beach for the installation of the necessary site work associated with the Nebula Z ride that the city purchased.
Yeah, so recently the city purchased the Nebula Z ride using ARPA dollars. Yeah, I'm sure you're all familiar with that. So the ride is scheduled to be delivered midsummer of this year. And the new ride will be placed where the old tot chairplane ride was, the little swing ride for tots. That ride was removed over the winter in preparation for putting this Nebula Z ride in that same location. So in order to actually install this ride, it's kind of a different footprint with different footings and different electrical requirements. So What we have to do is hire a contractor to do the necessary site work in preparation for the delivery date of the ride, and the scope of work of that would entail removing the existing concrete slab and fencing, pouring new concrete footings for the ride and a utility shed, doing flat work where the new concrete flat work where the new ride goes, doing all new electrical leading up to it with all new panels, and then also the appropriate fencing. So it'd be the queue lines and also the perimeter fencing to protect the public from going into that space when the ride is in operation. So we work closely with a consultant to create the bid documents between them and Public Works. We created bid documents and actually bid this project out to hire our own contractors to do the site work. That was bid out approximately a month ago. No contractors bid on it. We didn't get a single bid because everyone's really busy right now. It's not a great time of year to bid out a project. So what that meant is there just did not allow enough time to rebid it and still have that ride up and running this amusement park season. We could have rebid it for fall construction and open the ride next year. We discussed this with the Friends of Bay Beach and kind of mentioned it to them, and they made the suggestion to do another donation to the city of Green Bay, and that is to hire their own contractors to do the necessary site work to allow us to do have the site ready when the ride gets delivered. So we've done this several times with other projects where we allow donor groups to come in and build something on behalf of the city. This is no different than what we've done in these other circumstances. So it would require that the Friends of Bay Beach would have to enter into a design, construction, and dedication agreement with the city. That agreement is in your agenda packet if you want to see the details of that agreement. The last time we did an agreement like this with the Friends of Bay Beach was when they constructed the gravel parking lot extension at the main entrance. They did that, I think, in 2019, so we entered into a very similar agreement with them. Obviously, we took the same template and tweaked it to match the specifications of this. But what the agreement does is it outlines the processes and approvals that the group needs to go through in order to make sure that the project is built to our city standards. And so items in this contract that you'll see if you review all the details include what the plan review process is for them to go through, permitting, construction inspections, insurance requirements, and how to go about selecting the appropriate contractor. So all of that is kind of spelled out in the agreement. The Friends of Bay Beach have read this over, our law department has read this over, everyone's in agreement with the terms of the contract. And they've also agreed, you'll see in the contract also that they have agreed to construct it exactly how our bid documents were prepared. So that will ensure that it meets all of the state requirements to get our state approval for the ride. So, the members of the group aren't able to be here at the meeting, but obviously they wanted to express their hope that you'll approve this. If it is approved tonight, this agreement goes to committee or council for approval next week. They have contractors already secured and lined up and ready to go as early as next week. So as soon as this contract is signed, they're ready to kick off excavation. And right now they have an excavation contractor in line, or they have a concrete contractor ready to go, and they have an electrician ready to go. All three contractors have already showed us their insurance certificates, and it's all acceptable. They've all kind of already been reviewed and pre-approved by Public Works as acceptable contractors. We've worked with most of them before in the past on other projects. And so everything's really ready to go. And so, the hope is that everything will go through without a hitch with construction. And we will be closely monitoring construction just to make sure that it is built to our specifications. But technically, it's the Friends of Bay Beach that are hiring the contractors. They're paying it all. The city isn't putting any money into these contractors. Again, this is a donation to the city from the Friends of Bay Beach. The only thing that the city will have to pay as part of this is the Friends did not hire a fencing contractor. So that's something that the city is going to have to do as part of this, and that fencing work can be done after the rest of it is done or in conjunction with construction too. So we're in the process of getting quotes from fencing contractors. We're pretty confident that that price will come in under $25,000. So because it's under $25,000, it would not come before your committee to get approval to hire the fence contractor. I would just approve that as the director. So things are really falling into place, and I do want to say that the contractors that have agreed to do this work have done it as a favor to the Friends of Bay Beach, just because they like the project. They're all busy too. They're not looking for work. Now, what I can't tell you is what agreements they have made with the Friends of Bay Beach. I don't know if those are donations. I don't know if they're partial donations. I don't know if they're getting paid. It doesn't matter to the city. That's an agreement between the contractors and the Friends of Bay Beach. So all I do know is we are allowing these 3 contractors to come on site and do the work for us.
Alder Campbell.
So, again, I want to express my gratitude to the Friends of Bay Beach for not letting a roadblock get in the way, especially. I mean, I guess it comes down to a lot of resources, and the key word is friends. Friends have friends. Friends have friends in big places and small places, and I'm thinking that this is one of them where everyone's like, kind of like, can you help us out? Friends to a friend, to the city, to the friends. So I think it's great. This is a great meeting. Up tempo and.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Alder Rick.
Just so I understand the process, so then, once it's completed, then do we have to go and approve the donation? So it's kind of like a pre-approval of the agreement, but then does it, okay, so it's all
No,
in one.
how it's written in the agreement, what you're approving tonight is approving the agreement. Authorizing staff or the city of Green Bay to enter into this agreement with the Friends of Bay Beach. How it's spelled out in the contract is after it's completed to the city's satisfaction, it just gets donated to the city and we take ownership of it. So there's no additional process to go through to accept the donation after it's built. This is it.
What are your wishes, committee?
Well, I make a motion that we accept another donation from the Friends of Bay Beach. They're doing a great job, and not let it get in the way of progress here.
I second.
Would that be, just to
Oh.
confirm the wording, is that action to approve the design, construction, and dedication agreement?
Yep.
As it's written? Okay,
That's what
just
I would
wanted to-
recommend.
All right,
Yes.
perfect. Just want to
Okay.
clarify your motion. Perfect. There's a motion and a second, and those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried.
And I do just want to mention one other thing. So these contractors are not building the ride or erecting the ride. They're just doing the site work. When the ride comes, city mechanics are going to erect the ride.
Perfect. So much good news. Boy, you
Yeah.
handled it, so much good news.
Glad you could
Just-
add on.
Yeah,
Maybe we can wait till later.
No. And on to number 4, consideration with possible action on the approval of a concession stand use agreement with the Optimus Club of Green Bay, Inc. for the Finger Road Ball Field Complex.
So we recently granted, well, this was probably about a year ago, we granted approval to the Optimus Club of Green Bay to install a concession stand with restrooms at the Finger Road Ball Field Complex. Again, what you approved was a similar agreement that we just approved for Bay Beach. You did that also for the Finger Road landfill project. So the group already hired a contractor to do the construction, and again, once it's built, they will donate the building to the city after it's completed. The city did agree to install all of the utilities to that building, so we will be doing that at a later date this fall. After that building is done, the city will pay for and run the utilities to it. That was part of the agreement that we had with them. And this project has been in the works for at least 10 years. I mean, this has been an ongoing request by the user group to build this building. Because it's on a landfill, that was always problematic because the DNR has to approve this addition. So it wasn't the city getting the approvals, it was really the DNR. And so before they would approve it, they just wanted to make sure that by us building the ball fields out there, the landfill is still functioning appropriately year after year after year consistently. So finally, last year, the DNR gave the okay to build this building. So everyone's really happy about it. I can't tell you how excited they are that this project is finally happening. They broke ground actually about a week ago on the construction of this building. So now that the building's under construction, kind of the next step in the process is to work through an agreement with them for the use of that building. And we've done this for other facilities. So the same user group actually built a concession stand at Optimus Park for us. And we entered into a similar contract with them. Again, we use that as a template to modify this one. So I just want to point out kind of the purpose of the agreements, kind of some of the general terms of it. You can obviously read through it for the specifics. But because of their substantial investment into the building, the club will have first rights to use it whenever their teams are renting the field. So another entity cannot come in and sell concessions for their games. And then, in addition, they will not have to pay a fee to rent that concession stand from the city. They'll just have exclusive use to it. Now, we could charge a rental fee to other groups if we so choose. We haven't made a decision if we're going to or not. We'll make that decision as we go. But in return, the club has agreed that all revenues generated from the concession stand will then go towards either supporting their program directly, or will go towards maintaining and improving city amenities. So continuing to improve the ball field complex or other ball field complexes throughout the city. So, you know, there's kind of a benefit for both of us to enter into this agreement. Now, I do have one requested change. So I had some discussions with the user group or the Optimus Club today on this, because they reviewed the contract that was submitted in the grant app or in the packet. And under item 11, it says that the term of agreement will expire after 20 years with 5-year renewal increments if both parties agree to it. So the group asked that instead of 20 years, could we do 30 years? It just gives them a little more exclusive use to it, a guaranteed exclusive use to it for an additional 10 years. They felt it was justified because of the substantial investment that they're putting into this building. And again, I'll have 5-year renewal options after the 30 years. I really, as a staff, I really don't have any concerns with that. In fact, the agreement for the Optimus one actually went longer than 30 years. So this is the 30 years is even a compromise from what we did in the previous one from the city's standpoint. So I would recommend that, you know, if you do approve this, agreement, that you just approve it contingent upon changing the agreement expiration date to January 1st, 2053. And then I'll just make that change and it would just go through.
Perfect.
Okay.
Alder Eck?
What is the other one? You said it's longer than 30 years. Do you remember?
I believe that one was a 100 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess the concern the city has is it's a concession stand. We don't have a lot of buildings that last 100 years, so is that really a realistic expectation?
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna ask. I mean, I think extending it from 20 to 30 is great, because I think you're actually pulling the next generation of the
Yeah.
same families in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking.
Almost 40 would
Yeah.
for sure do it.
Yeah, so I think both parties are comfortable with 30 years if you are as a committee.
Okay. Well, I was thinking that if they were agreeing to continue to invest in it to upgrade, that it could be longer, but yeah, I mean, it can be renewed.
Well, like I
obviously,
said, it
it's
is
up.
5-year increments of renewal if both parties agree. So as long as everyone's doing what they say they're going to do for the next 30 years, we'll just continue to renew it. I don't know why we wouldn't do anything differently.
Campbell?
So these actually have cooking facilities in them, or what? I mean, I know different ones are different ones.
This one will be identical to the one at East River Optimus Park. It will not have a grill, but it will be able to do things like popcorn or like a hot dog maker or something like that. So just kind of things you can plug in and put on the counter, but it will not have a grill for them to grill hamburgers doors and brats.
Well,
If
that-
they want to do that.
You need a hood, you need
Yeah,
a...
and plus because, you know, it is a landfill, obviously, you know, we have concerns about the grilling part anyway, so.
Three-face mask. Don't
Oh,
matter.
yeah. Well, a lot of times they'll put the grill outside and.
I was
do-
gonna say, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, we've been I mean, they've been selling concessions out of a smaller building out there for years, and, you know, they know what's appropriate, what isn't. We've
Yeah.
worked with them for the last 10, 15 years out there.
As part of this building, do they have bathrooms, or are we doing that part?
Yep, so that's why we compromise with the utilities. So typically with these concession stand bathrooms, which is what it is, they build the building and we run the utilities to it because in essence, the benefit the city is getting out of it is the bathrooms. So we don't have to rent porta potties anymore. You know, we still might for big tournaments, but they don't have to be there.
Yeah, this new building
So
would be
there is a
perfect.
benefit and a reason why we throw a little bit of money into it, just to, you know, work with them.
Such a nice complex. This building will be great for tournaments. I mean,
Yeah.
it's excellent.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck to approve, second by Alder Campbell. Any discussion on that with the change of the 2053, correct?
Oh, yes, with-
So it
as
would be
amended,
contingent on that.
Okay.
or contingent on
All
that.
right.
And as long as we're throwing gratitude around, gratitude of the Optimist
Yeah.
Club
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
always being
Well, they're a
there
great
for
organization,
the
yeah.
youth.
I remember they came in here and, you know, we thanked them back then too, you know, when they, what was it? One of the first things maybe we did, because you said it was a year ago, so, as council.
We were
Well-
talking about it.
Those in favor?
Aye,
Opposed? That carries. 3 good newses in a row. Let's keep it rolling.
it seems to be
Oh,
going
look at
on.
that, more money here. Consideration with possible action on accepting $7,400 Neighborhood Partnership Grant Award from Brown County United Way for the Green Bay Conservation Corps to install a rain garden native planting in Navarino Park.
So this grant focuses on improving targeted neighborhoods. And this year, one of the target neighborhoods in the city of Green Bay is Navarino neighborhood. So the city of Green Bay submitted a grant application for a specific project at that park, and we were awarded $7,400 to install a rain garden / native planting area at the park. So there's an area, it would be on the north side of the park adjacent to the residence, which just doesn't drain very well, so.
Main, this is the main one, Main Street.
This is Navarino Park, so it's
Navarino.
Jackson,
Okay.
not sure what else it intersects with, but
Okay.
Stewart and Crooks and Jackson, I think in that general area.
Oh, okay. Downtown,
Yeah.
basically downtown.
Downtown, near downtown, yeah. But there's a wet spot that's always there that isn't easily drained. So what our plan is to build a little rain garden, a natural planting area in that wet spot to help dry it up. It's something that the neighbor who lives adjacent to them and other users in the park have kind of complained throughout the years, asking if we can dry up that area. And there's no good, inexpensive way to do it other than this. This is the best option for us because running sewer to there is difficult. But anyway, we received the grant award for $7,400 to do it. The grant cost will go directly towards purchasing plant materials and then also soil amendments. So we'll replace the soil with better draining soils. And then the city will create the planting plan, and then the Green Bay Conservation Corps will then, along with volunteers, will then install the planting. So, you know, it's a fairly economical way to get the project done, but the majority of the cost of the grant will go towards soil and plant material. So all of the grant funds must be spent by May 15th of 2024. This has been reviewed with the Navarino Neighborhood Association, and they're supportive of it. So I would recommend accepting the grant award.
Alder Campbell.
Well, you mentioned grant many times, but where's the grant coming from?
It's coming from the Brown County Neighborhood Partnership Grant.
Okay.
Make a motion to,
Oh, go ahead.
are we ready? Okay, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion
Yeah,
by
and
Alder Eck
it's-
to approve, second by Alder Campbell. Go ahead, Director.
Sorry. Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
Eck, Campbell.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so
Yeah.
that's the name of the grant, but it's the Brown County United Way that's sponsoring it. I'm sorry for
Okay.
clarifying that.
That's
Any other
what,
I did
discussion on
read
that?
it, so.
Those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries.
How come this monitor's not on? I'm just noticing. Usually they're both on. I was just looking at them. Making sure that
Oh.
the Zoom is on, because I've had that where I couldn't get in.
It's my better side too.
It's your better side. I don't even know where's the camera.
According to my wife, I don't have a better side.
Not working out.
I don't know.
Don't know offhand.
It's all right, we're almost done.
No big deal, I just noticed it. Want to make sure we were on Zoom, because we've had that where
Yeah, it's true.
it's been not on, it seems to be. Okay,
Zoom is running right now.
okay.
Number 6, consideration with possible action on approving a resolution authorizing the submittal of a grant application to assist with funding for Phase 2 of the Light Memorial Park Improvements Project.
So last year, the city applied for a $1 million DNR stewardship grant for the same project, for Light Memorial Park redevelopment. In the past, we brought a master plan forward to this committee, and you approved the master plan so we could move forward with completing engineered documents and construction documents to complete the project. We did find out that we did not receive the grant last year for the full project, but the DNR did contact us, and there's a possibility that we might receive a partial grant for Phase 1 of the project, which would be the construction of the shelter with the beer concession hall, restrooms, and an upper rooftop deck. That would be Phase 1. If that does get awarded, again, it's not finalized, but if it does get awarded, then we will bring it to this committee to officially accept the grant award. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the second grant for Phase 2. I just wanted to kind of clarify what the difference is between Phase 1 and Phase 2 versus our application last year. Our application last year was for the entire project. But because we might get just a partial grant funding, we're working with the DNR to break it up into maybe 2 grant applications. Nothing needs to be done for Phase 1 anymore. If we get awarded, we'll be back to talk to you about it. This grant application is for Phase 2 construction. And this application was submitted on May 1st, which is, every year they only have one application deadline for municipalities for this grant program. And if this grant is funded for Phase 2, it would fund all of the site work and amenities throughout the park. So it's not that building, it's kind of all of the other stuff in the master plan. So this would include items such as demolition, grading, lighting, stormwater management, walkways, a canoe kayak launch, waterfront stairs, and then the associated utility work that goes along with that. So the total cost for the Phase 2 elements that I just described to you comes out to $1,088,000. So the city requested grant funding for half of the total cost of these elements, which is the standard for DNR stewardship grants. They'll only fund up to half of any project. So our actual grant application for Phase 2 was for $544,000 versus the $1 million we applied for last year. Because again, this is just Phase 2 of the project. So also keep in mind that we cannot apply for everything that's in that master plan because the DNR does not fund some of the things shown in the master plan. So, for example, one of the items we had in there, which has a pretty large cost to it, is the stage. We're proposing to construct a formal stage. The DNR won't fund a stage. So although the stage construction is part of Phase 2 construction, it's not included in this grant application because it's not an eligible expense for DNR stewardship funding. So the total estimated cost for the entire project, Phase 1 and Phase 2, with both buildings, the stage and the other building, and all of the site work that I just mentioned to you, is $7 million. That's the estimated cost. So the city has already allocated approximately $1.7 million in TIF funding, which we did that several years ago through, I think it went through the Finance Committee to approve that funding. When they were trying to figure out how to close out that TIF, they allocated the money towards specific projects. That money, that $1.7 million, would go directly towards Phase 1 construction, not Phase 2. On Broadway's fundraising goal for this project is about $4 million. And so that will leave a shortfall of about $1.3 million. If we're awarded both grants, we'll be well on our way of meeting that $1.3 million shortfall. We won't quite be there, so we might have to look at other potential funding options, maybe city bonding, seeing if we can find out other city money somewhere, maybe applying for other grants to help with that shortfall. So we don't need to really talk about that shortfall right now. Really, the purpose of this agenda item is to approve a resolution in support of the grant application for Phase 2 construction. That is a requirement for DNR stewardship applications. If the city council does not officially approve a resolution, we will not get awarded the grant. They don't even look at it because we didn't adopt a formal resolution in support of the grant. So what the grant actually says is to build the stuff that's incorporated into the grant will cost roughly a little over $1 million. A little over half of that will be DNR funding, which means the city or on Broadway would have to come up with the additional $544,000 if this grant is awarded. So, that's not something we need to decide right now because, the fundraising campaign is going to, happen fairly shortly. It does take about 6 months for them to award grants. So we have some time to figure out where we're going to come up with a match to this grant. And if for some reason we can't find a match to the grant, when the grant is awarded, we unfortunately would have to not accept the grant award. But that's a decision we would make 6 months from now if we are awarded the grant. But hopefully some of these other things might come into play. So you're not committing to the funding right now. All you're doing is approving a resolution supporting the city applying for the grant with terms that I just kind of spelled out to you. That's
Okay.
clear.
Questions?
I just want to make sure, there's a gentleman out there, I just want to make, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we need to open the floor?
I think they're both with,
Okay, all right, sorry, I just want to be
okay.
cognizant of that.
You'd still talk if you want, if you really want to come up. No, all right.
Yeah,
Make a motion.
I just want to make sure, but
You're trying to score points.
score points, yeah.
She's very welcoming, right?
What?
You're very welcome.
I try to
Sure.
like go out and ask people as I'm coming in, and I was running late, so. I think this is great. I mean, why, again, why wouldn't we? That's what I look at it as. All we're doing is, approving to apply for money. So that's where I'm at.
Go ahead. Motion.
Oh, okay. I make a motion to approve.
All right.
The
Motion to
proposed.
approve.
The proposal to the proposal.
And is there a second to that?
Well-
Proposal part.
You're
Oh, do I have
approving
to
the
say that?
resolution is what you're doing.
Oh, okay, I'm approving, I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Correct.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Anybody want to talk to that? Anybody in the audience in particular? No?
Hey,
All right.
just making
Those in
sure.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Aye, sorry.
Informational staff update, park seasonal staff levels.
So,
Kevin is really
real
nice.
briefly, I'll
Nice
have,
attachment to
I'll
it.
have James do a brief presentation on this. I just want to kind of start it off here. I know, with, giving substantial raises to all of the seasonal staff, there's been a lot of questions from all of the alders and the city council. Where do we sit with our staffing levels for the
Yes.
summer programs coming up? And so we just thought we'd give you an update of where we are currently to date today. So keep in mind, our pools aren't going to open for a few more weeks. We're still in the process of hiring people. All that we're showing you, and I do have a summary in the agenda packet if you want to open that up to refer to as we speak.
See?
Yeah, it's towards the end of the agenda packet. It's a one-page summary.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It's looking good.
Yeah. So again, these are only the ones that we have definitely hired and everything, all the approvals are done. It's not everyone who's still in the works where we've given offers, but we haven't gone through the background checks yet. So just want to share that. James can kind of go from there.
Sure. It's simply laid out in your agenda packets here with the numbers. Real-time updates since Dan posted this last. There has been a few minor adjustments here
to the plus.
In the good category.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So lifeguards, under the pool section, you can take that from 18 down to 16. And then in the forestry section, so we did add this youth apprenticeship forestry program this year, so the full staffing levels needed actually will reflect 8 now needed. We don't have any youth apprentice hired as to date, but there is 2 people right now that are in the application process. They haven't been hired yet, so that's promising, but they're not hired. But we did actually add 4 more staff this week, or just got hired like in the last 24 hours, like today. So now the total staff needed, or open positions, is 1 for our regular forestry SMEs, and then it's 3 more needed if you count the youth apprenticeship program. So it's a lot better than even 6 hours ago in the forestry section.
Yay.
So I guess, did you have any initial questions? With all this, otherwise just.
I would think we just need to look in the weather forecast, and the warmer it gets, the more enthusiasm we get for the lifeguards in the pools and in general. Come on, it lifts everybody up, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean, it sounds like, look back at that little 80-degree week we had, maybe that's when a whole bunch of people signed up.
So I guess just a couple of things just to note, just general broad overview picture of some of these categories. So Bay Beach, we are fully staffed, so we can have our standard operating hours. We don't have to shorten the hours, and we actually have a waiting list for people who want to continue to work there if some other people resign. Playground
Doesn't have the sea
program.
dragon though yet, in there, right? Because you got to staff that yet.
And the nebulizing.
The playground program, we currently have 13.
So there's 13 out of the 16 sites are currently staffed.
Awesome.
So we do have kind of hopefully 3 more that we can, over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We are currently still accepting applications, of course, and trying to get those filled.
East Side Parks?
Well, the,
Gotcha.
I can tell you kind of the next in
I know we
line
have a
here.
list, right? You had.
We have a list based on
that bad?
attendance.
Who's
Yep, yep.
So that's how we determine which ones get funded or which ones get placed first on the list. And so the next 3 that we have on our list for approvals are
So Eastman, Beaumont, and McAuliffe.
in that order. So if we get 2 people, we'll fill Eastman. If we get 4 people, we'll fill Beaumont and Eastman. If we get 6, we will fill McCullough.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
So would you agree that the increase of salary has helped?
It's helped dramatically.
Okay.
I mean, even with our park maintenance staff and forestry staff, I think last year, don't quote me on this, but I think we only had 1 seasonal forester last year.
Yes.
And now we have already 5. So it's made a tremendous difference. Bay Beach, you can just see the difference right away. Even our pools were significantly higher than last year. I guess that's the other item we need to talk about is we still have a shortage of lifeguards, which might affect how we open the pools in a few weeks. So at this point, it's still kind of too early to tell you what our game plan is because we still have 3 weeks of potential hiring going on before we want to make it public how we're going to handle the lifeguard shortage if we end up having one. So what our plan is, we'll just give you another update at the next Parks Committee of what we plan on doing with the parks and playgrounds.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
With the lifeguards, do you think, is it just people aren't wanting to be lifeguards?
That is a very large component of it. It's just not as prestigious as it used to be a lifeguard. The responsibilities are higher, the training is more in depth. Just overall, it's something that I don't want to say kids don't like to have responsibility these days, but that's kind of a factor in when you're actually working in an environment where you could possibly be saving a life.
Is that a different pay scale? Does that have just a little notch up?
Yeah.
As opposed to like playground leaders and park maintenance, it's a notch.
Next to it, I guess.
Slightly higher.
Keep thinking of ways to attract it. I know you do. And I know looking forward, let's keep let's keep staying ahead of everybody instead of, we caught up and we went ahead, don't let everybody creep back up. When budget time rolls around,
Being
let's
competitive.
keep it,
So I will say it's a very fair statement to say the lifeguards, though we have received applications for and hired, are a lot more experienced overall
That's good.
than in the past. So some of our interviews, a lot of lifeguards are coming in already certified, as opposed to us having to go through and certify them all. So even the quality, I would say, of the experience of the lifeguards is a little bit higher this year than we saw in the past.
Yeah. And I was even talking in reference to all the positions, when budget comes around,
Staying ahead.
let's keep it, creeping up, not fall behind, catch up, fall behind.
But I guess one thing that I also wanted to point out is under each category, we kind of show you how many applicants applied and how many we interviewed. So that you can see just how extensive our interviewing is for seasonal positions. But really, it also shows you, we received quite a number of applicants. Now, some of them just weren't qualified and didn't get interviews, but we received a
281
lot of
applicants for Bay
applicants.
Beach, that's a lot of people.
Mhm.
281 applicants, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking to say that we couldn't keep Bay Beach open all the time, right? So that's big news.
Yeah, for sure. I think did we talk about it last time, the whole Baywatch thing? Maybe we got, gotta.
It's the David Hasselhoff effect. is what
Yeah.
it's- I mean, so-
Led by
We
Dan.
need to make it kind of like, oh, become a lifeguard, Baywatch.
I usually take my bike down there, I don't run down the beach.
I'll entertain a motion to receive and place that on file.
Second.
No, he's entertaining.
I'll just entertain, I like saying, entertain the motion. Yeah,
He's
no.
entertaining.
I always say that.
I guess I would make a motion.
I will second.
Motion by Alder Campbell, second by Alder Eck to receive and place on file. Discussion, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
And then seeing as Alder Galvin is not on the Zoom meeting and he's not present, I did speak to him last night and he said if he's not here, he asked if he could please hold this item until the next park committee.
Oh,
Ah.
I thought he was walking in.
Good
That was
timing.
perfect timing for James to come in.
All right, who wants to hold it?
I make a motion to hold until our next park committee meeting for,
Motion by-
Second.
Alder Eck, second by Alder Campbell to hold item number 1, the Astor Park pickleball court. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Director's report.
Again, we have a pretty extensive director's report. I don't think I really have too many items to mention. I guess one thing I will say is we did send out the first round of letters for the encroachment policy. I received a few phone calls, but very few. And in general, everyone, after speaking to them about it, were very understanding of why it's being proposed. And in fact, one person who called me was encroaching pretty significantly, and he said, yeah, I'll comply and I'll work with you on it. So I don't think it's all going to be that easy moving forward, but I'll tell you, we haven't gotten a significant amount. We haven't really gotten any complaints. We've gotten questions. We'll kind of keep you in the loop on where we sit with this process, but things seem to be going well right now, at least with the initial letter that was sent out to residents.
I know you have a line in here about the summer rec meetings. Have those numbers been decent this year?
Overall, I would say they're very consistent, if not even slightly better than last year.
And our umps, I know we increased ump pay. Has that been good on our umpires?
We're currently at the level we need to be to accommodate all of the umpies, so yes.
Cool. Any other questions on the?
Arbor Day, we celebrate on the 28th at Eastman. Okay. Yeah, and a couple of the maps of the places you were sending out were 2 different maps, I think, were in my district, and I haven't gotten any phone calls, so that's a good thing too. Obviously.
Yeah, and the first round of letters only went to everyone east of the highway. The ones
So
west
it didn't
of the
get to mine
highway-
yet?
The ones west of the highway will send out in about 2 weeks.
Okay, east of 41, so that would be in my district. Okay.
Correct, yep.
All right. I make a motion to receive and place on file.
Motion to receive and place on file by Alder Eck,
Second.
second by Alder Campbell. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our next meeting is, we have an extra week in here, don't we?
Yeah, so this is what's actually posted on the city webpage as far as the next meeting date, but there is a week in between this and the council, so there's a potential that we might move this 24th through the 30th to a week later, and we would just do it in conjunction with INS, and whatever we decide as a group, we'll keep the 2 meetings consistent. So
Okay.
Tentatively, May 24th, to be determined.
May 24th.
Tentatively.
Or unless they might put it
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Alder Eck.
Second.
Melvin Campbell, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried, we're adjourned. Thank you.
And leave the meeting.
23rd, you said?
May 24th. Excuse me.
Pending, there's like
Then
an
it
extra
might be
week in there, so
switched.
sometimes you
TBD.
push it back. Yeah.
It is on,
Be-
yeah, you're just in the